So thank you everybody for joining our Academic Training Partners meeting number 35. And I know it's been a while since our last meeting, so thank you again, Silvana, for taking the time to restart our Academic Training Partners meeting. So really happy to introduce, most of you already know her, Silvana Contepomi, who is the Director of Assistva based in Argentina. Over to you, Silvana.
Thank you very much. Really, I'm very happy to be here. Thank you, ISWP, for organizing this partnership with very passionate people for training for wheelchair service provision. So happy to be here, and I'm going to share my screen so that I can share with you my presentation for today. I know some of you, and happy to know the other ones. Well, here we are. I thought, as a critical was saying, I'm based. This is my my place. Assistiva is this that it's assistive in English. I think that to be assistive is that you can transform something in others by technology, but also by training. So that is why when we had to put this name to our consultant place, we put Assistiva. It's for communication, for wheelchair mobility, for access, and everything. So this is Assistiva. This is my social media and connection data. And I can start presenting myself by telling you that I'm physical therapist, but this happened like 40 years ago because I'm in neurorehabilitation since then, and I had been becoming a specialist in position and mobility. This is Argentina, is in the south of South America. This type of country is like the second largest in South America after Brazil, which is the only that speaks Portuguese. All the rest of countries in Central and South America, we speak Spanish. What do I have to say about myself? It's just that I have been training since a while and trying to thinking in how to improve the wheelchair service provision in my country, but also in the region. Also, you know that maybe the most of us understand that language sometimes it's a barrier to be actualized in terms of standards and of practice. So that is why I think that to build up a community of trainers in your local language, it's also very important, and that is what is one of the things I try to do with Assitiva in my region. I also have to mention, and this is very important for us, and to grow up in the standards of wheelchair service provision in my region, it's that we built up the Argentinian Assistive Technology Association. This happened like 13 years ago, and we are the ones that organize the Latin American Sitting Symposium every 2 years here in Argentina. Now we are having, in August this year, we're having the 7th version of the Latin American Sitting Symposium, and it's also a good experience of what we have experienced this years in building up this community and this learning process and understanding how to improve our services for wheelchair service provision. No? So I thought today in presenting an Argentinian case, it's not one case, it's a region case on how did we improve, and we are still in there trying to improve every day our service provision in a really very, very less resource setting in Argentina. And this is, I must say that during this process, although we know that we have the new wheelchair provision guidelines launched in April last year in 2023, 1 year is going to be since we have the new guidelines that were done by WHO with the partnership of ISWP and ISPO. Being the guidelines, what help us the end users to make informed decisions with the aim of achieving the best possible individual and collective health outcomes, no? And these guidelines I find are based in the 2008 guidelines for wheelchair service provision in less resort settings, but these ones are global and are really for any person in the world that and of any age who needs a wheelchair. We do have this document that can help us to understand how to make people access to the appropriate wheelchair. So based on this, that we know that the guidelines, these new guidelines, global new guidelines, have 7 recommendations. There are 4 in the service level. That is how to make this provision process or the service process that needs these 4 steps or that are assess, select, fit, train, and follow up. It's very well explained in the guidelines. And then there are 3 recommendations in the system level. So what I was willing to share with you is this experience we have been doing in this is Argentina, well, part of Argentina. To the south there is another state or province that is not there, with Brazil, Paraguay, Chile, Uruguay, and Bolivia here in the north. And this region, it's quite here in the north of Argentina, where it's, I would say, the only region in Argentina where we have, it's very close to Bolivia, and we have people that maybe they are origin people with different cultures and different language also. So to sometimes we need translators to speak Spanish. I know that this happens in some other countries, in Argentina only in this region. So this is the type of region in terms of context, and there it's a rural region.
Queres assistir a uma formação sobre sistema.
And in that region, there was no health professionals working in the region. Of course, this is a state, and yes, in the capital area of that state or capital city, they do have professionals, but not in this region working locally, no? But yes, there was a strong social network there led by the government. And how did they access to wheelchairs? There was an NGO that just deliver wheelchairs as well as other devices or other equipment needed, like refrigerators. Everybody will send in the same way wheelchairs, and this was the result, no, the outcome. They had the wheelchair, but absolutely inappropriate for the person in need, no? So this was the situation when they called me. I live here in Buenos Aires, capital city here, so it's a long way. It's 1,500 kilometers away from the area. And they all called me to ask me for wheelchairs. And I said, we are not with Assistva, we are not going to deliver wheelchairs. We can start working with you to make service provision providing the part of the service that you do not have today, but we have to build it up so that you can be independent in how to access to wheelchairs with a good service provision. And really, we started at the system level. I must say that this project started in 2018, so we were based in the past or the previous guidelines, eight steps guidelines, and but of course, as I say, that these 2023 guidelines are based in those ones, and it's the same thinking process, but making more actualized to how AT is provided in the world, talking about systems and services. So I put it in the new wording process, but and it's also a way to show how it perfectly it can perfectly works the 8 steps taken to the system level recommendations and to the service level recommendations. Now, so this is how we work. And I'm going to go through this. We work to make a competent workforce. I'm going to talk about this, how to put a seamless referral and access to the service provision, and how to make this systematic evaluation to the whole process. No, so what did we do in this level? Working to make this competent workforce, we started really as I can show in this previous one. This was one of the first workshops we did, and there was no health professionals. This lady that you can see here, she was from Germany, and she was doing a rural experience there, but she was not local. She was health professional, but all the rest were social workers that were in the. So we started working with some strategies of community-based rehabilitation, understanding how the community can be barrier or facilitator for a wheelchair service user, for a wheelchair user, and how to detect and to make referral. And we talk a lot of community facilitators strategies. We also then started to find people that had some abilities to start working to provide maintenance or maybe do some equipment or can make some fitting process. So we start training those people to be part of the service. And also we the last part was we brought in some health professionals to make, but that they were not based in that region, but they were from the same province or state, to come in and to start understanding how to do their role in the training them, so that they can be nearer than what I am of the region, and have a seamless. This is the next one. So here is the competent workforce we start changing, and to come to this is in Salta province. It's not in Salta capital city. It's not in the region, where it's a hospital where the people in the hospital, these are from Salta, this is me, that we were, they are the ones that now are leading this project, because they are trained and they understand. Actually, they are certified by ISWP at this point, and they are the ones that now, with some work that I'm also doing, empowering them in training, but they are the ones that can go and give the workshops to the community and keep on this work at the system level. Of course, the systematic evaluation for this program, we didn't have many tools there to evaluate, and it was I would say the hardest part to introduce. But yes, since the very beginning, we have the evaluation we did to the system was the abandoned products. This was before, of course, this is not one of our products with the people that we provide an appropriate wheelchair, but this was from before. That was 100% of abandoned products. Every child that was referred to our program, every child or young adult, because it's or adult, they had an abandoned product in the house. So that was we really put in our minds that we do not want abandoned products in our program. No? So we were very specific there on where to refer to not have this picture on our program. No? So, and what we did with the program was based to improve the service. So at the service level, we needed to improve all the aspects, to build up the service level, to understand that to the people there, that it was not a delivery based in a delivery product service, but it was a service that needs to have a provision based in these 4 steps, or in these 4 understanding that we need this process to select, after doing an assessment, to fit, to train, and to follow up. And we did it this way, or we are doing it this way. This is a continuing program, no? So the assess select step was the last one that we transfer to the local people. As I say, always to assess select. To select, we need to assess. I mean, select a wheelchair, not understanding the need of the user. It's just selecting by other categories that it's the same. I mean, what can we select if we do not assess? Assess, of course, the need of the person and the context of use, no? Where is he going to use it, or he or she? But this was the last process that we transferred, because we needed some experts to understand what to assess, but then to do it. And this is a local physician. She's the leader of the training there in Salta, and now she's doing the assessment. Of course, I started there as a program, understanding what the need of the people, select the correct or the appropriate product, while between the ones that we have available there, no, of course. Then the next step is to fit the product. When they receive the product there, it needed to be fitted. Of course, we didn't have wheelchair technicians there, but yes, we did have in the area some people that understand how to arrange a bicycle or a car or a table. And those people, these are local people there, that we train them on how to put a wheelchair together, and how a wheelchair can be fitted in size and can be arranged on when to ask for help. So this is usually the way of accessing to the service there. It's more that they used to go to their houses. They do not have mobility to go to the centers, so they have as a social network. They do have the continuity of going to their houses. So we provide a box with all the tools they need, so that they went to the house. This is myself training some people there, but when we went to their house to have all the materials so that they can fix or fit the wheelchair to their need when they see. Of course, understanding when we talk about fitting, first they need to understand the importance of, if they detect that the foot is just hanging there, they need to put it to the measure where they can be really supporting the foot, so that they will be stable and comfort in the wheelchair. So this is how we started doing the fitting, and as I'm building up, and now we have some people that can do the fitting process locally. The training, when we talk about training process in the, or step in the wheelchair service provision, it's at different levels, no? So training should be provided to the family on, this is a new device for the child and for the whole family. So they need to know how to use the device in their own context. We're going to talk about this afterwards. This is Agustina. We're going to see her as a case. And so we need to train the family on how to use the device. Of course, the user, if they have possibilities on using the device itself. We need to train people on how to maintain this device. And also, as I said at the beginning, in these rural areas, we need also to train the community as to be a facilitator in providing how to. I mean, if you are going to move in wheels, you need to have a terrain that can be appropriate for the wheels, and sometimes it includes some changing in the community, and this is how something important to be trained in this particular program. It's part of the access to the appropriate wheelchair for this special user, this type of training. And then the follow-up. The last step, very important, very difficult to think on how to follow up. It's difficult in a big city. So imagine when you are 1,500 kilometers away from there. But we decided to do it this way, and it's kind of working for this program. And it's this way. The first thing we did for follow-up is to make people understand that that there's no way to abandon the product. They need to ask for help at the correct time, because sometimes when you are far apart from where you are impacting with a provision of a wheelchair, you need to put this awareness very clear, so that they can ask also for a follow-up. They can demand this follow-up process. Also, as I said, it's in this area. They used to go. The social workers used to go to see because they do not only need the wheelchair, they need water, they need food, they need access to health, they need so many other things. So they usually go to their region, and so we said that every time they visit the community, if there is a wheelchair user, they need to take a picture from the front, from the lateral. We taught them how, and they should ask what are the problems they are having with the wheelchair. Just some question like that, and they need to send it back to me. Or now also I have the center there. They're trained, but at the beginning was they send it to Assistva, the picture, and we will tell them with like this writing. Here you see the pictures. We intervene the pictures, but then a whole document where we explain like this: 1, what do you have to do here? 2, what do you have to do here? 3, what do you have to do, and why do you have to do it? So that is our follow-up program with pictures and with reports that were coming back and forth, written. So they went to the place. This is somebody from there that they started doing all the refitting of the wheelchair, and then send back pictures to us. This is the follow-up program. I must say that this program, what is mentioned in the, I think it's in the page 40, but it's mentioned in the provision guidelines, the 2023 provision guidelines, as they find it was one of the ideas to make a different follow-up programs when you don't have services, other kinds of, I mean, the follow-up programs can be done anyway, or you have to think sometimes different ideas on how to put it in place. No? So this is another type. No? They send me, and of course the headrest was, they need to put it up. What about the wheelchair, and how can he use the hands? What was happening with the feet, etc., etc. So this is the type of follow-up we did in this program. And now, for the last part, I want to share some. We have, I must say that at this moment, we have, or the last data I have, it was in this year, 52 people that was provided with the appropriate wheelchair was follow up. We have 0 abandoned products. We reuse the products if necessary. And I want to share with you some of these people that are in the program or that were provided with an appropriate wheelchair. This is, as I said, all of them had a wheelchair unappropriate. Somebody sent this. They said wheelchair, I sent something, it's completely inappropriate for that. So we started working, and now he has, I must say that the products that we took there, after assessing, we have, in Buenos Aires, we have donations of people maybe that they don't use. So, but we knew what we were looking for. So we took that donations. Is a reused wheelchair, or we find people that can buy wheelchairs. I mean, fundraising for wheelchairs that we didn't find the product donated, or reuse it. When I say donations, it's not a big donations from a big humanitarian organization. It's just local donations. And so what we did there is like we find money to buy fundraising, to buy products, but the important thing is that we were guaranteeing that that product, it will be appropriate for the wheelchair user. So it was not difficult to find people that can pay if we guarantee that. So we didn't have problem with finding the product. The problem was building up the service. not the problem, the challenge was building up the service. So here is Joel. Here was Fernando. We find a lot of people. Actually, I must say, how did this program started? I have a friend. She's my friend here, Marina. She's a social worker. She came to school with me. I'm 60, so you know how long we are friends. And she's a social worker, and she was working providing food to this area. And when she went to visit, she came back and she told me, Silvana, there are 6. I went to provide food and I found people in bed, and I asked them why they are in bed and they're not sharing the time with their family. And they told me they do not have a wheelchair. So she took pictures and came back to Buenos Aires and said, can you find me 6 wheelchairs for these people? I will go back to the region and give. And I said, I will not give you 6 wheelchairs if we do not contact the government and ask them if they would like to provide, to make a service there to provide wheelchair. And that is how it started, all this process. But this was, Fernando, one of these 6 that was in bed. Of course, as I mentioned, he did have a wheelchair at home that was abandoned because he was better in bed than in that wheelchair. So this is Fernando. We did all the provision there. He's with a this is Agustina. This is the wheelchair she had. This is the way she was. She could be here for very short period of time. She was better in bed. And of course, she could not play here. She could not talk to people here as she could here. This is in our program. This is Alejandra. Alejandra was one of the other ones that was in bed. They live in community, as I said. They live with all their cousins, friends, and they live all in a big community, as you see here. This is Alejandra. We took her out of bed after assessing her, selecting a product. She's here with sharing with all her. This is the mother of Alejandra. We trained her how to use the wheelchair in the context, going around, showing Alejandra all the surroundings and playing. Of course, as I said, this doesn't stop with a wheelchair. Alejandra should have also some communication, alternative communication, but you can see how Alejandra, with this appropriate wheelchair, starts being part really of her community instead of at home. We visit her 3 times. So these are from different periods, and this is Gregorio. Well, he's local, one of the trained workforce in maintenance. He's an excellent wheelchair service technician, although he doesn't. His work is driving the car to access to the community by the government. But he is now also an excellent wheelchair technician. This is Alejandra, and this is when we talk about rights, and this is not only that I say it, but WHO started in 2008 to organize all the wheelchair service provision mess that was in the world, because, of course, they understood that when you have mobility needs and you need to access to an appropriate wheelchair, you are not losing or not guaranteeing your right to mobility, but also through the access to the appropriate wheelchair, you have the right also to education, to play, health, and recreation in your own community. this didn't happen to Alejandra before having the wheelchair. She was in bed, or maybe somebody, no, here you can see this is how Alejandra was. And this was her life before having the appropriate wheelchair. And this is how it started, no? Alejandra was here. As I told you, my friend asked me to deliver a wheelchair to Alejandra. She wanted to take her out from her bed that was inside a house. And her house, this is her house. And as I said at the beginning, this program will have never worked if I find somebody who can deliver a wheelchair, because as WHO and ISWP stands for, that the appropriate wheelchair it's only provided in a service with the recommendations of the guidelines, no? And it can be done, this service can be done in any part of the world. You do not have to have a hospital, a big hospital, or, I mean, it's easier to have it in other contexts, but you can do it in any part of the world. I must say that we have this program that I mentioned just now. It's referred in many others, in many others, no, in 2 or 3 papers. I'm co-author referring to this program I presented to you. But one of the last one was done in societies that it's and this is that it was done for the capabilities approach. The societies works a lot with the society empowerment, and they work with this capabilities approach that is free to choose, no? So and here we showed it was done, although it starts with a wheelchair. In this, I'm talking of this area, this context that I was speaking about. We know that the wheelchair is not enough, and this is a very nice. It was led by Natasha Lighton. She's a researcher from Australia. She was president of the Australian Rehabilitation and Assistive Technology Association, and well, that is me. We did it, and we brought in as co-authors also the physician and the OT, local from Salta City. So we wrote about it, and we compare the rehabilitation approach, that is where we're in to provide a wheelchair, and the capabilities approach. That that is some specific approach for society, or that is interventions beyond mobility products and services, no? The local empowerment, the system strengthening, and the government engagement. And just to mention this, that in this region happens. I think we are in, no? Yes. So this is the new logo for this system of AT provision, that it has the 5 Ps, no? And this is the new logo, that it's a person. And to stand up this person, stand up is make them access to their rights. We need strategic drivers, no? That it's, of course, based in the people. We need a good provision, that for wheelchairs, we have the guidelines, and if we stick to that, everything will work. The policy now that we have in these regions is we need to work in all this personnel, the trained personnel, and the products, of course, that there are different ways of accessing to products, but they need to be at the level of the need of the people, and the policies also helping this to make it sustainable also, no? So, well, thank you. If there are any questions or...
Thank you so much, Silvana, for such inspiring work and for definitely empowering us. Thank you so much. I just would like to open the floor to know if there are any questions from the participants.
I have a question.
Yes, Mary, go ahead.
Thank you, Silvana. It's a great work. But each one of us is improving the wheelchair service within its context. But according to this presentation, how do we ensure sustainability in what you do? Are there any barriers to ensure this sustainability? For example, if you provide trainings to therapists, what happens if they leave? And we face various issues regarding this and regarding products also. And have you integrated the government to establish laws to ensure continuity and prevent this from being a temporary solution? Because here in Lebanon, we are facing the same thing in the rural region. So I don't know if you can.
Yes, Mimi, thank you very much for your question, because I should have mentioned that I started with the government. I said when this situation happened with one of my best friends say, give me, I mean, I must say that as any one of you, I know if we are here, that it heartbreaks when you see somebody in bed with possibilities of accessing to an appropriate wheelchair. So I was heartbroken, but I said I will not find, and it's not that difficult for me in Buenos Aires to find some spare wheelchair that is there. And I said, this, I will not do it this time. I want to change this. And I started in this case, in other cases, I started with the government because they have a strong in presence there for social working. So I said, I'm going to start there, and I will, and my concern, and I started really, I remember the first time I was there, I made a lot of effort to understand them, that they can be part of this change. It's not a matter of money, because they always say no, because we do not have the products. And it's a matter, if you are not in, you will never have a product. You need to be part of this solution on how to bring out that person. And so we started with the government. When I say with the government, they have a lot of work with social workers. They call social health agents, they call them. They never went to a health university, but they understand what to look for in the. So I started with the government, and I must say this is a voluntary from Assistva, that we are consultants. This is a voluntary work we did from Argentina, from Assistva, but always asking something to the government. For example, I have to fly to Salta. I pay my ticket to fly, but I said, you have like 4 hours by car, and it's very difficult to access. And I know that they have cars to get in there, because that is the social work they do, getting in there. So I said, I will ask you to take me there. I mean, I want you to be involved. If I'm important for your work, you have to show me that you have to be involved. So they took me there every time I went. And there I talked. That's why Gabriel, that one of do you like cars? Do you like this and that? So we bought him a box with tools, because you can fix a wheelchair if you like cars and how to handle this. So there was a lot of that type of works at the beginning. And I can tell you that it changed a lot, or it modified the sustainability of the program when I found, this was 2 years ago, it was after the pandemic, 2 years ago, when the health system um, asked me to be involved. This was the director of the rehabilitation center of Salta, that is 4 hours away from here. They were willing to be involved in the program, and I said, I can give you so come with me. I all the materials on how to teach or train the community, how to teach or train the maintaining process. I went to Salta, and so I was transferring them and now they are doing. They send me all the critica, and Alex may know that one day, last year, I think I sent. Look what is happening. They were giving the same workshops I was giving 5 years ago. They're giving the same workshops there, teaching them how to put with foams and making this a seamless, a continuing. I mean, problems will happen. I know that wheelchairs, it will need to be refitted, but making them learn that they cannot just be comfort with somebody falling off a wheelchair. They have to ask somebody, and of course they are still asking me some things, but each time less, that so that is the process. And the last process I want to do, and they are doing some kind of work with who is providing wheelchairs in the here we have a good law for wheelchair service provision in terms of somebody has to pay for the wheelchair, but it's all a mess. They send any wheelchairs, they think it's a refrigerator instead of a wheelchair. So so changing that to the whole country is a lot. But they started working with who is providing. The next step is to have really, when they need a product, to have where to find it. Sometimes they need a product and they say it's very an intermediate product, and they say, Silvana, can you find this and that? But they know what they're looking for. So I can find it, or I can. So I know it's only, as I say, 51 people, but it's a whole region that is completely changing the mind on how to include people with mobility needs, that there is a way to do it, that I mean, it's so, well, that is our path.
Thank you, Silvana. No, when we have the government behind us, I think it's perfect. It's the safest way to improve. Yeah.
Absolutely. I started with them, and I think we have to. If I think of which are the pieces, I mean, it's not done, this program. I mean, it keeps on developing and strengthening, but also this 5 piece helps me a lot to understand which is the weak part. No, it's products, yes, but I mean, it's the last thing. But it's more government. It's, I mean, politics or training or the service provision. I mean, it's somebody maintaining I mean, which one is the and also working on people, no, the P for people. That is why I presented this society article, but there's a lot to do, at least in my experience in this context, on how to empower people on what they can do. I mean, there was a lot of thinking that he doesn't want to do it, he cannot do it. He needs help on how to do it. I mean, it's more like God sent this, and he doesn't want. No, it's let's move on how he can do it. What help? No, he needs for doing this or that and empowering. And I mean, after providing the wheelchair, a lot of work needs to be done. And also I try to train on that, like what is happening in this community. Like, for example, they have workshops for dancing, no, for local dancing. Okay, this person with the wheelchair, he can go to dancing, and somebody who can dance with a wheelchair with them. I mean, some ideas to empower the people that they're not used to. I mean, it's somebody who cannot work, he will stay. I mean, it's like a designation that he will be not moving. I mean, all that work also, it's very interesting. So the 5 Ps are very, it's a clear path also on how to move around the need of this type of programs, no? And how now I put energy in this, then on this, then on this, and there we are.
Thank you, Silvana. I'm just gonna hand it over to Alex for the next question. He has his hand up.
Super. Thank you, Silvana, for that great presentation and that comprehensive overview how the WHO framework can be applied in a local context. 51 is a big, number. So my question is around numbers and data. Who keeps that data? I know these community workers are going out, or the social workers, they are gathering the information. Do they pass it on to the government? Because this is the most important thing. If we don't have the data, we can't bring about change, and then we can't follow up. So I think, first of all, yeah, well done on the work that you've done, and thank you for that presentation. But yeah, just a question on the data and how you might, any advice for anyone else in their countries, how do they start? From where do they start? Thanks.
Yes, we are following the data for our work. It's every time they contact us, we write it down, and we know each by person. We know all the process, the visits, and everything. And they also, that in 2019 they started. No, I said 2018, and it was before 2017. Because in 2 years, we started doing this, and in 2 years, the government changed. And local people from the area that they have our WhatsApp started saying, can you come? Can you come? And we said, again, we need somebody from the government to call the need. I mean, we know that you appreciated us, but so, and it was funny because they changed, the government was different. So usually here, what happens in our context, when they change government and they're not from the same place, they want to change everything that the other one did. So, and we realized that. So I said, I am not going to go by force. I mean, I have a lot of, this is voluntary. I love to do this, but if I'm going to transform something there, because I have a lot of work here. So, and they have to call me, and so local people call us, please, and said, you go and press your new government, said we were important for you, and we will go. And that happened. It took 6 months since they started. So, and they really are, they put a lot of effort. They have a lot of data in terms of what they do in the region. But they have many other needs, no? And I also have a funny, it was last year or the year before, 2022, I went I went for 3 days. And when I go there, I want to go and visit and see the needs, where is the need, and we go, as I say, with 2 cars and the tools and this and the new things I brought in and everything. So and the government asked me, one of the governments, I want to know you, and you come to the city and we have like a 3-hour meeting. And I said, sorry, but I would like not to go to a city and have spend 3 hours there, but if you can come, well, but I don't know. Well, finally, we were just there doing all the work in a very less resource setting, and we start seeing like a drone that came in there. It was the government coming to the area, filming everything, because for them it's very, very important, you know. So no, it was so funny. But I said it's good that we brought them here, and yes, I think we're doing. We're improving there. Data is something that data and follow-up, although we have this follow-up, but it's no follow-up, no, the evaluation, the systematic evaluation as a system recommendation. It's also, we would like to have more results on how the life of the people improve in each part. We know we are there, and we know that it improved because we have a lot of stories, no? But we don't have I don't know, have to look for. There are many things to improve.
Sure. Thanks, Silvana. I think Sudhaka's got his hand up, so I'm going to pass over to him because we're nearly up with time.
Yes.
Okay. One last question. Thank you so much, Silvana. It was a great informative session. And there are two things which I would like to understand. Like, see, when here in India, we practice the wheelchair service provision. We work with the partner organizations and government organizations to train the people and to provide the wheelchairs and influence policy and these kind of works we do. But what we encounter when we work with the services, products is one of the wheelchairs is one of the major challenge for many of the partners. So initially with one projects and things, they are okay, they get trained, they get a setting up of services, everything goes well. So as soon as we step out of the project, what happens? They are not able to manage the product supply, sustainable product supply, due to its cost or due to its local production and things. And also how that is managed in your place, so that at least that may be a learning I can take, or the others also can take from here to take it further. So this is one question. Another one I'll just quickly tell, and then maybe you can take it. So another one is like we all know very well, wheelchair brings a person out of the house and makes them independent, and that's the real inclusion. We make it, and we all very well know. And to measure, is there any tools you use in your services, standardized tools, which easily a clinician or technician or even a community-based personnel can use? So that's where we bring in the evidences, because evidences in this place, especially from the developing sector, it is greatly, I cannot say missing. It is difficult to collect the right, identifying a right tool to get the impact from the ground. So is there anything you use so that you can share it with all of us, so that helps and brings more evidences for the sector and for the people?
Yeah. Yes, for the first question, it was also my question there. When, I mean, always for the first time I was there, I said, my aim is to move away from here. I mean, how can, and I started in the whole process, I started transferring knowledge, maybe not from the beginning, from the first step of the process. Like I said, it was like the maintenance. I have 2 or 3 people that I know that I can ask them. If I tell them put the the understanding how to fix a wheelchair, that was the first. And the last part was for me the most difficult to transfer. That was as you say, the training for assessment, selection, maybe understand very well the fitting and the training also some families or parents or or agents can do some training on how to use the wheelchair, but the assessing and selection and this was the most, and it changed to me a lot when I found this health professionals that wanted to be specialists in, and I keep on, they started to be specialists like 4 years ago, and I'm still asking them, what do you need? Well, but I can see that every year a little, they do more, and I will stay in there until I feel that they do not need support. I mean, sometimes, I mean, to be competent, it's not the same than to be than to learn something, no, or to so I look very much on the competencies that it's not only what they know or what I told them and what they learned, but how they do it, no. So I put a lot of attention in how they are doing this and that. That is my answer for this program. And the second one, it's what you say. It's so I keep on thinking a lot on that, Sudhakar, because that will be the real goal, no? Goal in terms in if we talk about football, soccer is to make that the final thing that is, wow, this is, we are showing that the life changes of these people. Saying this, the only tools that I know and that I use, but not in this context, is like the functional mobility assessment, that it's a little bit, I think that for this context, it's a little bit long to do it or difficult to do it. I will not want to put in some way of taking some scale that is difficult, or I don't know how they will do it, so that is one of the weak things we have. We are measuring if the product is abandoned, and this is one good part. That's why I end up with the wheelchair is not enough in terms of, okay, they do have a wheelchair, it's not abandoned, we are going to be there to try to help that you can come out of the house with a wheelchair. But what is how I would like to know more on how this wheelchair, well provided, change your life. And I don't have I mean, I have tools, but they're not appropriate for, in my perspective, for this context now, no? So I don't know. and this is a good opportunity also to say that I love this space that is in ISWP to partner in training, no? Because although we do have different contexts, we have different languages, but we at the end we have the same needs, or we can have ideas on how to do things in other parts, and how can we put them in our context, no? And so thank you, ISWP, for having this space of sharing or partnershiping with you. And I also think, and I must say that ISWP it's very important for us, and because having an organization that can provide us all the references and standards and network and understanding how to keep on moving, it's very important also for the, I mean, I will have never done this myself if it's not for that I have the how do you call the back of ISWP and WHO, in terms, no government will have listened to me as Silvana. I mean, they know me, I'm kind of an advocator, but it doesn't have the the strength or the force of if there is such I mean, in our context, we need world or global organizations that can help us to show the need of service provision, and that is ISWP. I mean, I always mention that is not something that I want this to be done. This has to be done because WHO and ISWP says that this is the way, after all the evidence, all the global knowledge, so thank you, ISWP, for being here.
Thank you, Silvana. Thank you, Sudhakar, for the question. Hassan has dropped in a comment that he's able to also share some of the other tools and resources to the group. So thank you, Hassan. I would like to now close this meeting. Thank you, everybody, for taking the time to join us. And once again, a huge thanks to Silvana for taking her time to help us understand her work. And yeah, thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful weekend. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.